What's going on, everybody? It's Bogo Sports here, and I'm coming to you with my Week 5 NFL awards, winners, losers, and more. I'm a day late, but I was at the Diamondbacks game last night. They clinched, and they're going to the NLCS, so I think you guys can excuse me for being a day late. But without further ado, let's get into the first order of business, and that is to get into my picks from last week. So after Thursday Night Football of Week 5, my record is 30-17 because I lost where I picked the Bears to lose to the Commanders. They ended up winning. So I said, okay, let's try to go 14-0 from here. Well, I went 10-3 or 13-0. I went 10-3, not bad. I'll just run through the picks real quick. I got the Jags over the Bills. So my biggest victory this week was that I doubled down on my Jags and Steelers picks. If you guys don't know, I picked the Jags to go to the Super Bowl and the Steelers to win the division. So things weren't looking great to start the year, but the Jags beat the Bills. They came back. They're coming back from London 2-0, so that was a huge win for me with that pick there. Falcons over the Texans, I got that pick, and I think that was a lot of people were picking the Texans. Lions over Panthers, that was easy. I picked the Titans to beat the Colts, and that was a loss. Tough one there. The Titans are just such a weird team this season. So I took an L on that one. Dolphins over Giants was easy. Patriots Saints, this is the one I was so annoyed about. I had picked the Saints. I had them all week, and then right before I was like, you know what? The Patriots aren't going to lose this game. There's no way they're going to be 1-4. Well, we have officially arrived. The Patriots are horrible, seemingly, and that was a terrible switch of pick. I wish I would not have done that. So I lost that one. Steelers over Ravens. Like I said, that double down was huge. Now they lead the division, and things have not looked good for the Steelers so far, so I will take that. Eagles over Rams. I picked the Cardinals to beat the Bengals. I went to that game. They did not beat the Bengals, so that was my third loss of the Sunday games. Jets over Broncos, I got. Chiefs over Vikings, I got. Niners over Cowboys, got that one. And then Raiders over Packers, I got that one. So, good picks. I mean, my record now is 40-20. And if you didn't see my video from earlier this morning, I'm picking the Chiefs to win tonight. So, that should be a pretty easy win. So, not a bad record. But I think that's 40-20. What? That's 66%. But I want to be at like 80%. So, we got some work to do. I'm still working for the perfect week, but I'm not going to complain. So, I mean, my losses were the Washington losing to the Bears. That wasn't expected for sure. Titans, Colts. I took a little bit of a risk there. I thought the Titans would be the more experienced team. Patriots over Saints was stupid, but I don't know if you can really blame me for just trusting in the fact that a Bill Belichick team would not be 1-4. And then Cardinals, Bengals was a little bit of an emotional pick, but we also hadn't seen the Bengals be good at all this year, so I won't blame myself too much for that. Okay, let's get into the awards, the weekly awards. Offensive Player of the Week, it's really close. Two receivers that had tremendous weeks, but I'm going to go with DJ Moore simply for the fact that he had more receiving yards. He broke 200, I believe. So I'll give him the Offensive Player of the Week, but Jamar Chase, a close second. There were some good rushing performances. Breece Hall had a big week. Achane had a big week. Purdy was good at the football as far as he had 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, but the Offensive Player of the Week, in my opinion, was DJ Moore on Thursday Night Football. Defensive Player of the Week, Fred Warner. This guy was all over the place against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, where the 49ers absolutely drummed the Cowboys. I think Warner had 8 tackles, a sack, an interception, and a fumble recovery, or a forced fumble. I mean, just absolutely so impressive. This guy, I would say he's probably the best linebacker in the league. I don't know if many people would disagree. And I'm not sure who I would put second. So maybe I should say it more confidently that he's the best linebacker in the league. Offensive Rookie of the Week, I went with Achane. And it's such a shame that he is now on the IR with a knee injury, because this guy has been absolutely explosive. And I'll talk about him a little bit later. But as far as on the week, he had, what did he have last week? He had 151 rushing yards and a touchdown. Receiving-wise, he did catch a touchdown as well. Or did he? He didn't catch a touchdown. So he just had 1 touchdown and 150 yards, which for him is pedestrian based on how he's performed so far. So he's averaged 13.7. This past week against the Giants, he averaged 13.7 yards per carry. So this guy's been spectacular. Defensive Rookie of the Week, Jalen Carter. He had 2 sacks this week, and he's really dominating this category every week. I'll go count up before my video next week and see how many times I've given him Defensive Rookie of the Week award. This is got to be his second, this is definitely his second time, maybe his third. So this guy's doing great, but that's really it for those picks. I'll just run through them real quick. Offensive Player of the Week, DJ Moore. Defensive Player of the Week, Fred Warner. Offensive Rookie of the Week, Devon Achane, and Defensive Rookie of the Week, Jalen Carter. Okay, now we're going to go to our yearly awards check-in. If you guys don't know what this is, you should by now, but if you're new to the videos, it's basically me saying if the season ended today, who would win these awards? So we'll start with MVP, the most exciting of them. And this one, I wanted to say it's just up in the air. I have no idea, but I just said if the season ended today, who would you pick? I would pick Josh Allen. I think it's between Josh Allen and Tua, and then the rest are just below them. And the fact that the Bills whooped on the Dolphins when they played and Josh Allen outclassed Tua in that game, I'm going to still give it to him. But like I said, this is really up in the air. I think there's a tier of Allen and Tua, and then there's guys like Hurts, Brock Purdy, maybe I would put above Hurts. Purdy maybe 3, and then Hurts, Mahomes, even McCaffrey. It's very up in the air. But if I had to pick, I would go with Josh Allen. And I think that's the second or third straight week that I've had Allen as the MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, I still have it as Christian McCaffrey. But Tyreek Hill is a very close second, and he really made up some ground this week because McCaffrey had a good game. He still scored a touchdown, but it was one of his more pedestrian games considering how outrageous his season has been so far. And Tyreek had like 180 yards and a touchdown. McCaffrey leads in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. Tyreek leads in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. This is going to be a super close race. Both guys deserve the award. I hope they both keep it up. But for now, I'm going to go with McCaffrey because man, I was gonna say he seems a little bit more important to his team, but I don't even know if you can say that because Tyreek has been so huge for the Dolphins ever since coming there. So both guys have been amazing, but I'm gonna go with McCaffrey. Also, I have him on my Dynasty fantasy football team, so I'm a little biased. Defensive Player of the Year, I'm gonna go with TJ Watt, of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He leads the NFL in sacks with 8, and he's second in quarterback pressures according to Pro Football Reference. So I'm going to give him the award. I think the theme has been a mix of a trio, really, of pass rushers of Watt, Parsons, and Garrett. I think Watt has separated himself, especially from Parsons, who got locked down against the Niners last week, and he hasn't been getting home as much recently, so we'll see if he can break out again and get back into this race. But right now I have TJ Watt. And Garrett was on bye last week, so can't really blame him for that. Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one I literally cannot pick. It's a 3-way tie between Stroud, Puka, and Achane. Stroud, we all know how great he's been as a quarterback. The Texans have surprised many people. He's thrown no interceptions, throwing for a bunch of yards. We know how he's doing. Nacua, we also know how he's doing. He's second in the NFL in receiving yards. He has to be in the conversation. And then Achane, he's second in the NFL in rushing yards, and he's only played 4 games, and he's only played in 3 of them. He had 1 touch against the Patriots in week 2. Other than that, he's played 3 games, and he's second in the NFL in rushing yards, and I think he's second in rushing touchdowns as well. So if I had to pick today, I would pick Achane just because of how electric he's been in the short time he's been here. It's unfortunate for him, though. He's going to fall out of this just because of the fact that now he's injured. But like I said, it's pretty much as close to a 3-way tie as you can get. But if I had to pick, because that's what I'm doing here, I'm going to go with Achane. Defensive Rookie of the Year, it's Carter. It's not very close, in my opinion. He's had 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and he has a 91.8 Pro Football Focus rating. So this guy's been a stud. He's like the second highest rated rookie behind Achane. So I'll give him that award. Run through it real quick. As of week 5, the MVP would be Josh Allen. Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Devon Achane. And Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jalen Carter. All right, let's get into the winners and losers. First winner, Cincinnati Bengals. They looked like the Cincinnati Bengals this week. They put up 34 points. Joe Burrow had his best performance of the year by far. He was actually moving a little bit. He didn't look as mobile. I mean, he's still coming off the injury, but he threw a great deep ball to Chase. He was able to move around a little bit better. Chase had 192 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. They looked way more like the Bengals. I don't even think they're there yet. Maybe they're 85% or 90% of who they were before, but things are moving on the right track, and that was huge. They got a big win. Jags, I spoke to it earlier, but they headed into London 1-2, and they've left London after beating 2 decent teams. Another winner on this list they beat in week 4, and then last week they beat the Bills, who are on top of the world heading into week 5. So great job for the Jags, 3-2, didn't lose ground in the AFC South. 49ers, probably the biggest winner of the week. They just look like an absolute juggernaut, and I think they put on a massive display, clearly, against the Cowboys and humbled them and embarrassed them. And every demeaning word you can say about the Cowboys, the 49ers did to them. And they put up 42 points, defense, offense, everything was running like a well-oiled machine. And if they stay healthy, I don't think anybody's really going to contest with them for the Super Bowl. They have the clearest path to the Super Bowl if healthy. They just look like an absolute super team. They're so fun to watch. So many fun, exciting players. They're stacked everywhere. Huge winner this week. San Francisco 49ers, they are 5-0. Chicago Bears are a winner. Not only on my list, but in real life for the first time in like 14 games. So naturally, they have to be a winner on my list. Justin Fields has looked better for the second straight week. He looked pretty good. They've unlocked DJ Moore. Things are looking up for the Bears. Now let's see if they can keep it up. Last winner, I mentioned them when I was talking about the Jaguars, are the Atlanta Falcons. They had a good Desmond Ridder game. He threw for over 300 yards, and they beat a hot Texans team. They're now undefeated at home. They're staying up with the Saints and the Buccaneers in the NFC South division race. Both conferences, AFC South and NFC South, those divisions are going to be very interesting, and they're tight so far. So Falcons, nice win against the up-and-coming Houston Texans. So 5 winners, run through them one more time. Bengals, Jags, 49ers, Bears, and Falcons. My losers, Bills. Look, they lost to the Jaguars, a good team, so I wouldn't have put them on this list if they didn't lose Matt Milano and their defensive tackle, who I don't remember his name. Week before, they had lost Tre'Davious White. This week, they lose Milano, arguably the most important defensive player. You could say White ahead of him, but whatever. That's a debate. Milano's been spectacular for the past couple of seasons. He's done for the year, and they can't keep their safeties healthy. Those guys are tough to rely on to be healthy for 17 games. The Bills are getting screwed with injuries right now. It's unfortunate. I don't want to say the season's in jeopardy or the division's in jeopardy, because just 2 weeks ago we were talking about how they look like they're Super Bowl contenders after they dominated the Dolphins. So I'm not saying any of that, but they're losers because they are getting decimated by injuries on the defensive side of the football. Next loser, Cowboys. There's not much to say here. Dak looked terrible. When things started piling on. I mean, you can't take you got to take it with a slight grain of salt because everything was going wrong, but Dak did not play well. Cowboys just got blown out of the water by the 49ers, and they look like a team that's like, hey, when you face some good competition, this is what happens. And it's been this way the past couple of years. So Cowboys are going to have to really prove themselves in some of these matchups later in the season against the Eagles, and then if they make the playoffs and have a chance to redeem themselves against the Niners, they're going to have to do it, or else they're going to basically just become the Niners' sons, which they are right now. Next loser's the Vikings. They lose another one-score game. It's just a tough look for them this season. But it's the fumbles that are just weird. Things are fluky. Everything went right for them in close games last year. Everything's going wrong this year. But the biggest reason they're a loser this week, not only are they 1-4, they're 1-4. Not only are they 1-4, but like the Bills, they lost Justin Jefferson. There's rumors he could be out for the year. I think that would be really stupid. This guy's like 24 years old or 25 years old. It's a hamstring injury. Heal up, bring him back. Don't hold him out for any reason. You gotta utilize this guy's prime. He's pretty close. I mean, maybe he's not even in his prime yet, which is a scary thought. But none of this sitting out and holding stuff, tanking. When you have a great player like Jefferson, let him heal. It'll take a couple weeks. It's a hamstring, not an ACL, and then get him back on the field. But regardless, that's aside from the point. They lost Jefferson. Things do not look like they're going to get better for the Vikings this year. Maybe they trade Kirk Cousins later in the season. Who knows? Regardless, they are losers. Patriots, they are just looking pathetic. And it's unfortunate. I've been a Mac believer, but he's been terrible the last few weeks. Not everything is his fault, but everything's been going terrible for the Patriots. There's talk, I'm hearing people on podcasts saying, is this it for Belichick? Is this his last season? I don't know if I would do that. I think it would be pretty unwise, but you do have to blame Belichick for some of the personnel decisions he's made. He's a GM, not only the coach. I just think the supporting cast around Mac Jones is horrific. Every year they just hire a wide receiver 3. They sign a wide receiver 3 and hope that he's going to take them to new heights offensively. I just think they've got a lot of work to do with that roster primarily. And maybe Mac Jones is not as competent as I think he is, but I do still think he can be a good quarterback and win games on a good team. So we'll see. But the Patriots, this is tough to see as for a team that's been a dynasty for basically the last 2 decades. They look like an embarrassment, one of the laughingstocks of the NFL football, the National Football League, So they're loser number 4. Loser number 5, I was kind of up in the air on this one, but I'm going to go with the Ravens because they lost a very winnable game to the Steelers. Lamar had a bad interception late in the game, but he was getting let down by his receivers all day. They had 7 drops. Multiple touchdowns were cost by the receivers dropping passes. Aguilar, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews had a drop. Lamar was really throwing some great balls, but they let him down, and they lost the game to a division rival where they could have really almost not buried because the season's still young, but they could have put the Steelers behind the 8 ball in a big way, move them to under 500, and then they would have gone to 4-2 and led the division. Or no, they would have been 4-1 and led the division. But they made a lot of mistakes, let the Steelers hang in the game, and ultimately lost. And now the Steelers lead the division. So it was a very stupid loss for the Ravens, very sloppy. And for that reason, they are my loser number 5. So Bills, Cowboys, Vikings, Patriots, and Ravens were my 5 losers for week 5. And to wrap it up here, as we are 16 minutes into the video, the storyline, I already talked about it, but the headline for me is Niners strike gold. Let me restart that. Niners struck gold, Super Bowl or bust. And I definitely think they're Super Bowl or bust. And like I said before, I think if healthy, if they keep McCaffrey, they could lose one of these guys, but I don't even want to think about that. If the Niners stay healthy, they should win the Super Bowl, and it shouldn't really be close. I don't really see a close second to a healthy Niners team. But I also say struck gold because Brock Purdy is proving week after week that he is an absolutely legit quarterback. Is he surrounded by arguably the best supporting cast in the NFL? Or I think most people would say the best supporting cast in the NFL. Yes. But is this guy a legit NFL quarterback who continues to improve and put on great performances? Hell yes to that question as well. So Niners, they are so fun to watch. And they're in the Cardinals division, but I can't hate these guys. I like so many players. McCaffrey's one of my favorite players. I like Purdy. I like Kittle. I like Deebo Samuel. I like Brandon Ayuk. He went to ASU. I like Kyle Shanahan, their head coach. Defensively, I like Fred Warner. I like, I'm trying to think. Oh, I love Bosa. So they're a super likable team. They are super stacked. They're a very well-oiled machine. And like I said, Super Bowl or bust. So we'll see if they can stay healthy, but there's a long season ahead, so anything can happen. Well, that was it for my Week 5 awards, my winners, losers, all that stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And I will be coming to you guys with my picks later this week. And now it's time to go watch Thursday Night Football. But like I said in the video earlier, I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy it too much. But hopefully the Chiefs win, and I start Week 6 off. Because like I said, I want that perfect week. Hopefully I start Week 6 off well. Alrighty, I'm out.